Welcome back to Dolor Factor Live. Now, what's your sex IQ? We're going to find out now. And I'd like to credit this quiz. It's from Cosmopolitan Online, and the quiz is about relationships and personalities there. And I know some people like to do those kind of things, so you can find lots of those types of things there. Now, what I want you to do right now is I'd like you to simply repeat one out of the two choices that each of the questions I'm going to give you gives. All right, so I'm going to give you two choices, and you can just say it out loud, maybe to someone next to you, or just say it, okay? So you don't have to write anything down, because we're just going to address them straight away, and Rose and Jamie are going to be helping me along the way. So there are 9 questions. And question 1 is, it's possible for a guy to have multiple orgasms. Is that true or false? It's possible for a guy to have multiple orgasms. Rose, and the answer?
True.
Of course it's true.
Most definitely.
It's true. Now, if a guy is tuned on his level of arousal, then he can bring himself close to that point and experience some of the pleasure of an orgasm without actually fully climaxing. All right. Now, a lot of people don't think about it that way, but a man can control, perhaps, you know, sometimes more than a woman, and that it becomes a bit troublesome sometimes, but you know, as long as he doesn't ejaculate, he hasn't fully extended, so that's fine. Okay, question number 2. What percentage of men in relationships always has an orgasm during sex? Now, what percentage of men in relationships, they're always going to have an orgasm during sex? The percentage, is it 55%, 75%, or 95%?
95%.
Okay, well, Cosmopolitan says it's 75%. Okay. Now, I went through and I didn't believe that too, but it's looking more like the 75 than the 95%. Yep.
I suppose there are reasons for that, Delia.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, that could be true. You have all kinds of things that can bring that up.
Medical
medical
yes.
reasons, drugs, alcohol.
And I believe that
some of them may
that.
not even be able to have an erection.
Precisely.
You know, so if you don't have an erection, you can't have an orgasm.
Yes.
So 75%.
It's about right.
Looking at it,
that's why some guys go for things like CMOS and all these little drinks.
I don't know what healthy or not. Healthy or not, they do it.
Well, yes.
You know, and you know when he says that, it just goes to show he's saying something like that at his young age. Yes. That means he has heard a lot of things.
Trust me, I've heard.
Okay, all right. Number 3. Who daydreams more while getting it on? So who's actually not really, whose mind is not really on it when they're getting it on?
One.
Is it men or is it women?
Oh, women, more women than men. Oh, men's minds are always on it.
Yes, we always do.
Yes.
You see, men are more physical, Delia, than women. You see?
We have
and
to
with
get
their
the job
eyes,
done, of
they
course.
get aroused and get sexy with their eyes. Whereas we women have to, we have to feel.
Get all
we have
sensual.
To get involved. We have to, yes.
Intimate.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But then again, that could be so. But if you are really engaged in your partner and you're really excited, your partner and so on,
no one has to envision anything. That moment is set.
No, I just think that if you are so really keen with your partner, you're not going to daydream. You are going to be focused on that. You know?
Trust me, it's a mission.
That is why the instant reaction is the man first. But again, that brings me to, you must have a relationship with the guy.
Precisely.
You see, women can divorce themselves from sex if they have no relationship, you know. And don't forget, sex comes about by, there are women who have sex without having a relationship. You look at, you know, the women want to have sex for things. I have known people say, me, Mrs. Alberton, I wanted to get books for my children, and there's no way I could get the books.
Well, it's a form of customer service.
I had sex with this man so I could get the book. Young people having sex, I don't know if Jamie will agree with me, for maybe chicken,
cheese sticks,
nice clothes.
I'll mention the brands, but
so maybe for that, they may not be, you know, excited about it or tuned.
Yes.
But this does happen. You
Okay,
know?
well, before we branch out into that, let's continue. Okay, here's an interesting one. The clitoris has twice as many nerve endings as the penis. True or false?
Oh, yes, the clitoris
It's
is
true.
the organ.
That's one
It's
thing I'm
true.
not sensitized on.
And
Okay.
this is why, again, when we look at the anatomy and we're teaching young people, people must know those things.
You have to know your body.
So that is why when you talk about good touch, bad touch, the children, because if you touch somebody there and it excites you, you'd find, oh, that's nice, touch it again.
Yes.
Precisely.
But if they can understand what it's for and why and how, then they can pull back. So it's important to help women understand, because the clitoris helps women also in the sexual act. This is where women get the orgasms more than a vaginal orgasm.
And that is why so many women fake it, because so many men don't always touch that area.
Because the women themselves don't even know that it has to be
We're talking-
That's right.
Still on that
always
topic
blame
also.
men.
Yes.
With regards to sensitivity, look at the school children. They are so promiscuous these days. Been so for quite a while actually. And when you don't educate school children on these things, they go out there, they have a blast, and parents wonder what's going on. But if you keep on hiding your children from these things, how can you expect them to not be promiscuous? You have to set a standard. You
I
have to
understand
educate
that.
your children.
But you know the thing about it, because this is now talking about morality and we're looking at sex. When these children are doing this, what are they doing? Because I don't think that they actually would truly understand what an orgasm is.
No.
They don't know
Oh, no,
what
they're
the
just feeling
pleasure
it.
of sex. And before we go anywhere else, I want to go back to the point that you made, Rose, about when we talk to our children about sex. A lot of us, we don't describe it, or they just say a man enters you and so on, but they don't talk about how the body reacts. And that is why when children are raped or children are victims of incest and so on and so forth, they feel certain things and it's enjoyable, even though they know it's not good. And when they grow up to be adults, they feel guilty and they think, I asked for it or I deserved it, because the
my
body
fault.
betrays them.
Because I responded.
That's
in a
right,
particular
especially
way.
when it comes to men on men,
Yes.
you know, homosexuality, when the young boys are being forced to do things that they don't want to do. They feel guilty because they're getting an erection.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky and difficult and
Yes.
sensitive thing.
That is why we as parents must never feel ashamed to speak with our children about those things. And even when teachers do it, you have people say things like, oh, they're teaching sex education in schools.
Oh, what
the
many
fact that
people
it is
say.
sex education, you all should do something good.
Precisely.
So parents out there, I am appealing to you to be open to those things, because children learn from the time they are small, and children learn first from their parents. The school is supportive of the parent, so the parents must help the children in explaining to them. And if you don't know, allow the teachers to do it, please.
Let me ask Jamie for you to briefly comment, because we have to go to a break, but
Yes.
I'm aware you wanted to say something.
We have that stigma where many people say that children grow up too quickly. By educating your children on sex, you are more or less ruining their future. You can't be thinking that way. By doing this, you'd more or less be causing the typical, how can I put it, toxic in our education, our moral growth, basically. So we have to change that mentality. Change it, and for something different to be done, change has to occur.
Well, it starts with the youth. You're a writer, you do something about it.
I certainly shall.
Okay, now, of course, you're watching Dolor Factor live on DBS. When we come back, we're going to actually open the phone lines, just in case that you'd like to make a comment here. But before we do that, let me give you a quick reminder of tonight's giveaways. When you send us your answers, we're going to create our own survey and give you the results later tonight. And everyone who participates, their name will go into a bag, and if your name is chosen, you'll win a sexy gift. Here's the question. Answer A or B. What turns you on more when you're feeling sexy? Is it A, a cologne or perfume, or B, a fresh and clean body? This is Dolor Factor live on DBS. We'll be right back.